Hey guys, this is Josh and I'm headed to the field. It's a baseball field that we go to start teaching recall for our dogs. And I'm bringing Miss Sadie today because she needs to learn a solid recall. Because if your dog doesn't have a recall in which you can get them back within a split second, and you know you can get them back no matter what, then it's irresponsible to let them off leash, and it's even dangerous. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working with the e-collar right here. And what this does is this allows us to have a communication with the dog up to a half a mile away. So the idea is to teach the dog that when they feel this sensation, that they turn around and they come back to their handler. Now the way we use it is we start with low level stuff, which meaning it's a level that the dog can barely feel. It's like a little tickle on the neck. And they learn to turn that off by coming back to their handler. And then what we do is we add more distractions where the dog feels that, but they decide to blow it off because they're doing something fun. And what we do is the dial-up technique where we slowly dial up so that the pressure increases very slowly so that it gets that right number where the dog's like, okay, I want to turn that off now. It's not too much. I'm not overwhelmed, but it's enough for me to be like, I want to turn it off. And they learn to drop what they're doing and come back to their handler. Now we put that on repeat. We put them in a bunch of different situations. We teach them how to turn off low pressure, medium pressure, and high pressure via distractions, no distractions, mild distractions, and heavy distractions. And what you get is a dog who you can get back to you when you say come. And if they don't come, you can click on the e-collar at the appropriate level and your dog will turn around and come right to you and put themselves in either a sit or a down. And it's very beautiful. And what this allows is freedom. Now, what I'd like everybody to remember is freedom isn't free. It's not free, right? Good girl, Sadie. Get your dog to a point where they can have ultimate freedom in their life, where they can start making decisions on their own because you know they're the right decisions. First, we need to put in the work. We need to train the dog appropriately so that in the future they can have this freedom, but it comes at a price. We need to make sure they're trained and we need to hold them accountable for doing these commands when asked. That's the price. It's called being your dog's leader, being the person who's in control and responsible for their dog's actions. That's pretty much what a leader is, the person who's responsible for their dog's actions. So if my dog makes a bad choice in public, that's my fault, not the dog's fault, okay? So let's get started. Break. So we're out in the field. Sadie's dragging a long line. We always use a long line when doing this, even though this place is all the way fenced in, because we need to be able to use a long line to give her direction if she gets confused. So before we get started with actually working with her, I want to explain to you guys the concept that we use. And you can start on a regular 6-foot walking leash or training leash. So you don't have to go straight to the long line. The idea is this: you let the dog get out in front of you, okay? Then and this is how you can introduce the e-collar too. Then you're gonna start the e-collar at a really low level. Heck, you can even start at 0 if you want. You're gonna turn it on and you're gonna slowly dial up. Watch your dog's body language. As soon as you see them be like an ear twitch or something, they tune into that sensation. It's gonna look really mild because if you've ever put one of these on your hands, you know that you probably won't even feel it till it gets to about a 10 or plus. So your dog's gonna be, if they do feel it, it's gonna be really mild, as if like a fly landed on their neck. As soon as you see them go, I kind of feel something on my neck, then you use that leash and you guide them towards you while still holding down on the e-collar. And then once they start to commit and come towards you, you release the e-collar pressure and you begin praising until they get to you. And then once they get to you, then you can mark it with good and you can use whatever reward you're using, whether it be food or praise or whatnot. So that's how we introduce it. And it'll get to the point where you'll turn the e-collar on. You'll pretty much find out which level the dog starts to feel it at. And the dog will, as soon as you turn it on at that level, the dog will turn around and come to you. And that's a great way to condition the collar. After that, your work's not done. Now you need to go and get your dog distracted so that that number doesn't work anymore, and you need to dial up to a slightly higher number so that you can ultimately teach your dog what to do with this sensation, and that the sensation will vary, that it can become more intense or less intense depending on how long they're taking to come to you. And the way to turn off all this pressure is to drop what you're doing, turn around and come back to your handler, okay? The end result, you say come. Generally your dog comes before you can even use the e-collar, but if you need to use it, the end result is one tap at a mild correction to start, and your dog will feel that correction, they will turn around and they'll come to you. So it's a very beautiful thing. And here's the thing, it's super reliable. Your dog will come back to you 10 out of 10 times. It's foraging out in front of me, everything's good. Now what I want to do is start with the e-collar pressure. Start with something that the dog doesn't feel or barely feels. So this is a 5, okay? This is a 5. I know Sadie, if she does feel that, it's barely. I know I can't feel a 5, no matter how hard I try. So we start there, and then as I put the pressure on, I'm gonna slowly dial up while the pressure's on. Now my hands are a little preoccupied. I usually have 2 hands for this. As I'm dialing up, I'm gonna watch her body language, okay? So I'm gonna check to see if she feels it. If she shows any signs of feeling it, I'll stop dialing up, I'll hang out on that number, I'll guide her to me with the leash. As soon as she starts coming to me, praise, okay? So here we go. It's gonna be a little tough for me to dial up, but I'll see if I can figure it out here. Switch hands, okay? Oop. Okay, hang on here. All right, let's try it. Got my leash, I'm getting it so that it's a little, so that if I need to guide her, I can just pull. So I turn on the e-collar pressure, it's on. Now she doesn't feel that, so I start dialing up until she feels it. She looks like she might feel that. Come, good girl, I turn it off, good girl. And then usually you would finish it off with her coming into a sit, but she went back out, so I got another chance. Because remember, this is your first few times. Your dog doesn't know what to do when they come to you. So I'm gonna turn it back on at that low level. Good girl, now she felt it that time, good girl. And then she goes back that way, that's okay, it's just more practice. So this time, if I had 2 hands, I could lure her into a sit, but this time I turn it on. Start dialing up. Good girl, turn it off, good girl. And then she blows past me again, that's okay. It's because I don't have 2 hands to give her direction here, but imagine that you lead them right to you and put them in a sit. But this is how you get them to start turning around. The idea here is that she feels that pressure and she's turning around and coming in my direction, which is the beginning of a proper recall. So starting like that is no problem at all. I have no problems with that. We'll add the sit in later. So back to my 5, turn it on. Good girl. She's starting to realize it's coming from me. Good girl. Okay, she goes back out, turn it back on. She's not responding to it, so I dial up a little bit. Dial up. She feels it. Good girl. Good. So remember, these are the beginning stages. So she's just learning that that's me. It's not just some foreign sensation. It's actually me communicating with her. So we start at these low levels that she doesn't feel or barely feels. We work our way up so we don't overwhelm her. Remember, we're not looking to punish her. She doesn't know this. We have to teach her what to do with it. So I'm at that 5, I'm gonna turn it on, dial up until I feel like she feels it good. Keep dialing. Good girl, there she is, good girl. Nice. So these beginning stages, that's how it's gonna work. And you might wanna start in your living room, okay? So it's like not as many cents, but the idea is that they just turn around and they start coming towards you. Maybe you back up some and start praising. As you're getting these head turns consistently, now you can tighten up the expectation, right? So now we want them to turn and come to us, but to sit at our feet instead of continuing to go past us. But if you start by getting that head turn with the e-collar and they start to understand that it's you communicating with them and asking them to come in your direction, that's a heck of a good start. So once we start getting that, now we start asking for the sit, okay? Come. Good girl. Sit. Nice. So I guided her with the leash. Good job. Break. Nice. Go potty. Go ahead. At a low level, I'm at a level 5. That's a level that she barely feels. And if I have to dial up in order for her to start tuning into it, I will. But we get the Goldilocks number. We get that perfect number where it's not overwhelming to her, but she feels it. It's enough to break through all the stimulation of the environment. Right? It's a great way to teach. So you don't go into corrections too soon. We're still teaching. So she gets out a little bit, we can just go with it. I'll just turn the pressure on and say COME and then guide her. Come. Good girl. Guide her. Sit. Good girl. Break. Nice work. We'll do another one. We're at a 5 here. I'm actually gonna go down to a 4. Let's see, because I think she felt that 5. Okay. Let her go out in front. Break, go on. Let it go. What's up? Yeah, she's really tuned in with us now because she knows we're kind of working now because I've given her a number of reps. So I'm gonna turn the pressure on, then say COME, and then guide her. And as she starts coming towards me, that pressure goes away. Come. Good girl. Sit. Nice. Good job. All right, so let's do some more reps here. A cool little side effect of all this recall training is that it creates a bubble around you. So if your dog goes out, like let's say 10 feet in front of you, and you keep calling them back, you start to create a perimeter around your body where the dog won't actually go past that. So you can create some rules going on hikes and stuff where your dog can have freedom, but they don't go too far from you. And I have not told Sadie to walk next to me. I haven't told her to stay close or anything. I would just recall training her so she knows if she goes out, I'm just gonna recall her. And what it produces is a dog who just hangs around you. As you can see, I'm not giving her any direction. I'm just walking around this field and she's following me because she assumes that I want her to be with me because I've recalled her so many times. She's like, oh, this guy wants me by his side. So she's just hanging out by my side. And that kind of induces kind of the travel mode where I'm like, all right, let's walk. And that's where we came up with the follow me idea, is that you can use the recall to create a follow me, right? So anyway, I'm gonna do some more reps, cleaned it up a little bit, and then show you guys where we got. So Miss Sadie's chilling back there. I'm gonna recall her. I don't have the long line on now because I feel like she's had enough reps where she understands what to do. I'm going to, also, the first pattern was turning the e-collar pressure on, wait until they feel it, and then say COME to let them know what to do and guide them. Now I'm saying come and clicking at the end of the word, okay? So watch, I got it on a 5 here, which is kind of her working level. I mean, it's a level that's not too, she barely feels it. It's barely a tingle on her neck. Ready? Come. Again. Come. Good girl. And here she comes, slowly but surely. Good girl. Come on. That's a good girl. Come here, girl. Yeah. Nice work. Very good job. And that's how we teach, okay? We got to teach with low levels and stuff. People get the wrong idea when it comes to these e-collars. And if you go and put the e-collar on your hand that we use, I guarantee you do not feel it below the level 10. Okay, most people don't feel it below the level of 10. It's very gentle, but as it gets up to these higher numbers, 30, 40, 50 plus, then it's uncomfortable, and that's usually where punishment comes in. Are we punishing today? No, we're not punishing today. Today we're teaching. This is what you do with this sensation when you feel it. This is what you do when it's a little bit higher. We teach them about the tools and let them know it's coming from us, and that's how we keep dogs. They understand the rules. It's like learning how to drive on the freeway. You learn the rules, you learn not to speed, but if you get pulled over, you're not very surprised. You're like, okay, yeah, I was speeding. That's the idea. We teach them the rules, and then what happens if you break the rules? We teach them about the consequence before we give it to them. And therefore, so when you give it to them, they're just like, oh, matter of fact, that's right. I should have came when called. There's no hard feelings. Your dog's not sulking. Your dog's not scared. Your dog just understands the rules and the consequences. And now you can have freedom because they respect it, and they come back every time. Good girl. Break. Good girl. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I got a lot of work to do with her. Again, it's just repetition. We got to keep using this command, keep drilling it into her head, put her in different situations, get her distracted so that we get opportunities to dial up, to get into some of these heavier numbers so she can learn what to do with them when she feels it. It's all about teaching. It's all about training. Once she's finally well educated on this, then we just start holding her accountable with corrective taps. We say, come. Wait a second, if she doesn't come, one corrective tap. That increases with intensity every time we have to ask if they blow us off. Now, remember this, if your dog's confused, don't correct. Give them more information. Maybe take a step back and go do some more reps, training reps, okay? But if your dog knows what you're asking of them and they're just kind of flipping you the bird when you're asking them to come when called, well, guess what? Now you can get them within a second and you can give a consequence for them disrespecting you like that, okay? All right, young lady, let's get to work. We had a successful session headed to the car. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't need my jacket anymore. Boy, it's getting warm out here. Still working on that off-leash recall on the way back to the car. We're gonna shape the follow me. Again, this is the off-leash. This is the invisible leash. There's no leash, but if we train properly, all the information our dog needs for any of the 5 commands is within this remote. So we can always give them information. And if the dog is completely trained, but is having a stubborn moment, we can also correct for that so that it doesn't happen in the future, okay? So let's do one more of these bad boys. Come, good girl. Heel, good. That's my girl, good girl. Good girl. Come. Good girl. Heel. Nice. Nice work.